everybody. Welcome to this event. We're super excited to have you all. We have quite a few folks that have registered. We have some really interesting folks on this webinar, and we're looking forward to this meeting as well. My name is Mike Supervici. I am the head of acceleration at VC Lab. I'm also joined by Adeo Resi, who's the CEO of VC Lab.
Most importantly, we have some amazing general partners that we'll introduce you to in a moment. Let me just cover some things for everyone streaming in right now. I see we're already over 70, which is great. Said we'll have between 80 and 150, so we'll see where we go. We're going to cross 80 in a moment, so there we go. So welcome, everyone. My name again is Adeo Resi, and I'm CEO of VC Lab. Let me just tell you a little bit about VC Lab and then tell you a little bit about the format today so everyone's prepared. VC Lab operates a free venture capital accelerator that will help a new manager or an existing manager launch a venture capital fund in roughly 6 months or less. And we do that through a combination of events, which we just finished one right before this event. We have a very active network, and we have a curriculum. So over the course of the 4 months of the program, you're going to refine your thesis, you're going to build out your materials, you're going to start pitching limited partners, and you're going to get interest from limited partners in your fund. And then we're going to help in the last bit you to set up and form your various entities. So some people actually close in 4 months. Some people take a little extra time and close in 5 months, and then some close in 6, but the average is actually 5 months. So if you're thinking of starting a venture capital firm, definitely check out our next cohort 6, which will start in February. Love to have you. It's free, and we're here to support. There are limited partners who are here today. We work closely with a number of limited partners. We have resources for limited partners and various other things to support limited partners investing in new managers and emerging managers. In fact, you're going to learn about the journey of some emerging managers today, and we're going to share their LinkedIn and other things into the chat, and you're more than welcome to connect with them and learn about what they're up to in more detail offline. Okay, so let's talk about the event today. I don't want to waste too much time hogging the screen when we have great other people that need to be introduced. There's a Q&A button at the bottom, okay? If you look down, it says Q&A. You can type questions in the Q&A. You can also vote up questions from other people. And Mike and I will do our best to bring your questions on screen and make sure that the new managers and the managers here today have the opportunity to answer them. And we have a lot of great new managers and managers. So I'll try and direct traffic. So if there's a question on something that's appropriate for someone, I might call on someone to answer it first, or you can mention their name and we'll try and direct the question to them as well. Read the questions in the Q&A and upvote ones that you like, so we don't get the same question over and over. Okay, with that said, Robert's Rules of Order are done, and we're gonna introduce our lovely and amazing general partners. Just because the first one I see to my side is Paolo. We can do Paolo, Nicolas, Biola, Silvia, and Neeraj. If you could just say a couple words on your background and what brought you quickly into venture capital. Paolo?
Sure. Hi, Mike. Thanks for the opportunity. So my background is mixed. I have been working in strategy consulting, investment banking, and I've also been a founder myself on the ups and on the downs. And then I had a chance, almost by chance, to join a firm that is a company where I'm working on, which is doing VC. I love it because we can basically help entrepreneurs get off the grounds and build new companies. So this is really the amazing part of the job.
Oh, Nicolas, you can just go.
Oh,
Don't wait for me.
Okay.
Biola,
Well,
when he's done, you go, and Silvia, and then.
yeah, okay. Sorry, I was waiting for a green light. Yeah, no, of course. Nicolas, I'm based in Switzerland. After 15 years in Japan, I define myself as an entrepreneur. I'm definitely an entrepreneur. And specifically in AI and big data. I had the opportunity to sell my company to Amazon a few years ago. It's today one of the famous AWS API that you can find on AWS. And yeah, so that's the background in a nutshell.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here today. My name is Biola Alabi. I have experience working in media, entertainment, e-commerce. I've worked in mobile section. I've also run my own company, a media consulting company. I used to live in the US. I moved back to Nigeria 12 years ago to work across Africa. And really that ignited my passion to give back, to invest more, to elevate and really amplify and create more economic empowerment on the continent. So that's been my journey so far. Thank you.
Blessed to be here. Thank you so much. I'm Dr. Silvia Mah. I'm a recovering scientist originally from Caracas, Venezuela. I am Latina, doesn't look like it, I know. I've been an investor for about 12 years, 120 companies in my portfolio, only investing in female-led businesses and people of color. I think it's a better business decision, period. And industry agnostic, love accelerating entrepreneurs, love that passion and getting them excited, launching and scaling their businesses. I have about 8 exits, 2 IPOs, and have actually invested in 11 emerging fund managers. Love growing the ecosystem. So I'm here to answer questions and have a wonderful time with you. Thank you. Off to Neeraj.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Silvia. So I'm Neeraj. I've been in corporates for like 20 years. I led strategy and GTM for $1 billion B2B SaaS business. And then currently I'm running an accelerator in India, primarily focusing again on B2B SaaS companies and trying to take them global. So that's a short of it.
Great. Thank you so much. Great energy, Silvia, by the way, and lovely stories, everyone. That's just awesome. And maybe we can reverse it now and we'll start with Neeraj and go the other way. If just like what inspired you to get into venture capital? And, you know, I know, Silvia, you brought that a little up, but you could go deeper into what's interested in the field, interested in launching a firm. And so we'll do the other way, as I said, Neeraj, and don't wait for me.
Sure. So two things, right? So one is the latent potential of Indian companies. So Indian has a great tech talent. What I realize is that, you know, still, you know, it's pretty localized because, you know, they don't get the outlet. They don't understand how to do a GTM to go global, right? And one of the things is that with my experience and with my network, I can, you know, build global companies out of India. And the broader thesis behind it that, you know, it is also creating the jobs in the startup and then through that bringing the social equality or the economic equality. So these are the two broad regions to untapped or to give the channel to the, you know, the untapped the talent as well as, you know, bringing some social and economic equality in our overall society. Two broad regions. Silvia, you want to?
Silvia, you're typing. I see.
I was waiting for Biola. I was like, oh, she's next, and then me, but then it was me. I'm so sorry. So I was typing a response to one of the panelists. So one of the guests. So sorry about that. So I started because I have this passion for making impact in this world. I'm an impact investor as well. So I don't think that impact is separate from return on investment. We can also talk about that too later. And what I saw as a scientist myself is that I was the only woman in a sea of men, which is great. We had great conversations, but I really wanted to invest. I wanted to activate my capital and other women's capital to invest in what we want to see in the world, either impact-driven companies or other women who want to start an impact-driven company. And what we've seen over the years, data shows it, is that women investors invest twice as likely into a woman entrepreneur. So now when we see the increased number of investors and the increased number of entrepreneurs, there's a direct correlation. So that passion is what filled me 12 years ago. When I saw the dearth of the numbers of women entrepreneurs out there, I said, I want to activate my capital. I know how to do it. I've been commercializing university discoveries for the last about 7 years. At that time, I knew technology was where we needed to go. That's what's going to solve the world's problems, right? So this intersectionality of amazing female inventors, I wanted to invest in them. And I realized that that's the return that we get. Data also shows that women actually have a shorter amount of time that they get to exit. So why not invest in women? BIPOC founders is the same sort of thing, that intersectionality of me as a Latina. I wanted to invest in other people that look like me, that talk like me, that have the same culture as me. That is so imperative to me basically having the ability to activate that capital to make that difference. And that really aligns with VC Labs, I know, with the Mensarius Oath. So that's why I did what I did. And that's why I continue doing it and getting people to come alongside our movement towards a better world and more in innovations that will solve all of the global problems. So that's me. I'll go over to Biola next.
Thank you, Silvia. For me, it was really always about the connection that I always had to home. I mean, even when I grew up in the US and living in the US, home was always front and center. And we always, I mean, even as a kid, we had to pack things, send home. How can we help people at home? Even sending money to home. So when I had the opportunity to come and work on the continent, I jumped at it. I mean, I was living in New York. My boss even didn't want to offer me the job. She said, who's going to leave New York to come work on the continent? And I was just so excited to do it. But once I got here, even though my work before then was really about making impact, I was working at Sesame Street, doing international co-productions, I kept on wanting to do more. And so when I was approached to make my first angel investment, I actually didn't even know. I was like, I don't know if I had enough money to make an angel investment. I didn't even know. It's like, what does that mean? And I think once I got the taste of helping entrepreneurs, and they came to me, they said, we came to you because we want you to help us build our company. And so I was like, oh, this is great. I get to do more than just write a check. I actually get to be part of your team. And so I really try to make sure that I really partner with my companies. I'm their CSO when I'm there, when they need me. We've helped companies transition from founder-led to hiring a CEO. When the founder said, look, we want to do something else, we brought in a new CEO, really onboarding them, helping them understand, and really help build professionalism into companies, governance into companies, because I have such great experience being on boards. This has been really exciting for me. And really, my co-founder and I just wanted to do more. We wanted to make more impact. I've worked across the continent. I mean, as an angel investor, there's only so much impact you can make. So I wanted to expand and really grow my impact. And that's really why we're here. And we really want to, we know that we have the ability to transform this continent. Mobile is growing, broadband is going, Africa is the future, and there's no better place to be than Africa.
So for all the people who are coming in, we're just asking each of the panelists right now why they got into venture capital. I see there was a big uptick in attendees. So they're like, what are they answering? So Nicolas, sorry to cut you off there. Why did you get into venture capital?
Yeah, I think the impact is the key word as well. So when I came back from Japan to Switzerland, I helped health insurance to build some models in predictive health. But at that time, I discovered that there was one key figure, which is 50%. 50% of the population is made of women, and they don't receive the research in health that they deserve. So the investment in health is only 4%. So there is a big gap between this 50% of the population and the 4% investment in this domain. So what we did is we launched last year the largest femtech accelerator in Europe, which is called Tech Forever, in collaboration with EPFL Innovation Park. So EPFL is the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. It's one of the best science universities in the world, ranking among the 15th. And we accelerated something like 110 startups, so which is quite big. We helped them to raise up to 60 million US dollar without too much work. And the idea is to make something more systematized and just to avoid the problem of the founding gap that, okay, they are known, they have a good solution, but when they meet the traditional VCs, they are not. So this is what we really want to address. And that's the 2022, which is the continuation of the Tech Forever program last year, is to create a fund around this femtech cause, because it's a cause.
Okay, so I guess I shall go now. I've been a little bit shy the first time, so let me rephrase it. I am Paolo Guida. I am originally from Italy, but the company I'm working for is called Blockchain Valley Ventures out of Switzerland. I was drawn into VC almost by chance. That's the honest answer. But I love having been an entrepreneur and a founder myself, because this is like very, very useful when you then need to deploy capital. It gives you hints in terms of what is going to be right and wrong, and allows you to make decision faster, and also to be very empathic with the other founders. So I think some results speak for themselves. I mean, we ended up investing in 10 companies. All of them are still trading. We had one exit. All the others have raised at increasing valuation. And sometimes, despite we were very small in terms of checks, I mean, we made between 300 and 500K in some cases. We always ended up also in syndications, and sometimes we led a syndicate by basically having a 10x total raise compared to the amount that we invested, just because we had the conviction. We had been with the founders. We did our work, so the due diligence. We felt that offering a term sheet was the right thing to be done with the founders, and so on that term sheet, then they ended up raising from much bigger investors than us. I think all the founders and the team have proven really amazing. It's really team that is true, and we shine if they shine. So I think I've been very, very helpful for that.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right. So for everyone who's attending, Q&A, ask some questions. There's already some good questions in there. I got some questions I still want to cover. And what we can do now is I'm going to just ask this question and, raise your hand and I'll call on you rather than this sort of structured thing. And we don't have everyone answer it, but I want to know like some positive surprises and or some negative surprises that you've had because you're on a journey to launch a venture capital firm. And, I know having done a lot of firms that they're just things that you're like, wow, this is really crazy. And, oh, that's really cool. So what are some of the surprises that you've seen? Again, either positive or negative. Anyone want to go first? Just I'll raise and I'll call on you. Okay, Biola, hi.
Hi, Howard. Thank you. I have to say one of the positives has been actually discovering VC Lab. I think that it's really hard to find places to go when you're trying to do something like this, and resources. How do you find the right people? And I think I came to an informational session that you and Adeo and Mike were hosting, and it just was full of information, so many different things to discover, so many different things to think about. As an angel investor, you always want to know more, just even about how to even help your companies that are going to go on and raise more. And so this just really helped you understand how, where, what to do. And I really appreciate the help. And I want to say thank you so much. The second thing is that it's a lot of work. It's a lot of thinking. It's a lot of it's a lot of tapping into people, really connecting with people. And I think it really gets you back into being an entrepreneur. You really feel like you're building again. And I think that's what's been exciting and surprising. But I do like the activity and the rigor that this requires. So thank you so much for your support.
Thank you. Who else wants that? Okay, I see Nicolas. Hi.
Yeah, the surprise for me was the large community, the worldwide community of potential VCs, of funds. I had just a few big names in mind, like Sequoia and some others, but there are so many people, and there are most of them, or many of them, are gathered by the VC Lab. It's making an amazing community. So you can talk with people in Africa, in the Caribbean, in Asia, in Singapore, everywhere, and they all share these kind of things. And it's pretty amazing, this kind of community, and pretty rare. I think that's super positive feedback.
Well, you're in Switzerland, Africa, India. Paolo, where are you, Silvia and Paolo, like physically right now? Your house, it looks like, but
San Diego, California.
okay, because it's dark. It should be light, but you have the window.
It's light, but yeah, it's yes.
And Paolo?
Milano, Italia.
You know, my home country. All right, I see you have your hand up. You can also virtually raise your hand like Paolo. So Paolo, you want to go next with some surprises about venture capital?
Yeah, well, about VC Lab specifically, I would say, I think it's amazing, one, to see the diversity of the backgrounds and the diversity of the stories that are here. And on the positive, I would say the discipline, which forces you to do stuff. You know, you have always an excuse not to do and to push back, because sometimes you just fear that you will not be able to get on the other side of you have to do other stuff that pays the bills and lets you go on. But I really think that this pace and this structure of the program is awesome, because it forces you to do stuff and also explains you how actually is not mystical. You can do it. I mean, there are some tricks of the trade that once you learn the process, actually you see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Let me ask a question for Silvia and Neeraj, because speaking of the workload and things, it's a lot of workload. And Silvia, I know your background. By the way, it's been posted in the chat if you're interested. You are a busy human being, right? Everyone here is. I'm not singling you out. So, but you are, like, even by my busy standard, like, wow, you do a lot of stuff. So, like, how do you find the time? And I'll ask the same question of you, Neeraj. How do you find the time to, like, do everything else you're doing in your life and launch a fund, right? And maybe we'll do Silvia and then Neeraj.
Yeah, I mean, launching a fund is a journey. Everybody's kind of said that, right? It's a journey, it's a movement, it's passionate, right? It is a lot of work, a lot of hours, but also a lot of mental work as well, right? Because you're like, okay, my thesis is good. It's actually not good. How do I talk to LPs? Oh, they didn't like it. They did like it. Now, all of that mental aspects of it is incredibly difficult to go through. So you have to be super passionate about why and how you are going to raise this fund, whatever you're doing, right? So your question of, like, everybody's busy, like I always say, the world is tired, the world is busy. Right? But if you're passionate about something, and that's like entrepreneurism, right? You get up every morning and you say, I want to do this. I want to do this every single day. And if I had a choice, I would do it again and again and again. And I'm going to pick up that phone and call an LP. I'm going to pick up that phone to talk to the entrepreneur. And when that entrepreneur calls you at 9 p.m. Or whenever it is that they call you, you answer the call and you help them. That is what it means to be an investor. VC, angel investor. I love, Biola, you said, as an angel investor, I remember my first angel investment, check, I was all freaking out. And I asked my mentor, she was in New York City. I'm like, what do I do? She goes, are you passionate about this? I'm like, yes, I love it. Do you understand it? Heck yes, I understand it. I love it. And she goes, write the check. I'm like, okay. And since then it's been, okay, I get it. I want to write the check. Okay, I want to start a VC fund. Let's do it. I think what is really amazing at VC Lab is that you have a community that says, we're doing it too, and we're all crazy at the same time. Hey, let's do this together. Let's have a global ecosystem that supports us, that we're not isolated, especially now during COVID, when everybody's isolated, we're all in the little cubes, right? We have VC Lab. We're saying we're building this together. We're all passionate again together. So that's what it is. Like, Adia, you're saying, everybody's busy. How do we do it? We get up because we're passionate about it and we want to make an impact in this world, makes a concrete impact, not just like doing something. We are funding the next next generation of entrepreneurs that will make massive change, massive impact.
You gave me goosebumps. All right, Neeraj, you had a very busy life as well, corporate background. India's chaos right now, lots of opportunity. It's like US salaries, it's crazy. So tell us about how you make the time and
No, absolutely. So I think Silvia covered it very, very well. So it's all about passion. So just to tell you, right now it's almost midnight here, right? Where I'm sitting. So, right, and I might be looking a bit tired, but should not be like, I am looking dead, right? The whole point is if you are passionate about something, right? So literally it happens that, till late evening, at least like 7, 8, I was doing my day job of running an accelerator. It's a pretty busy accelerator. We are doing pretty good there as well, right? Which is good and bad because we have a huge deal flow and evaluation and meeting the founders. Everything is going on, in parallel, accelerating the deals, talking to founders, helping them with the GTM, literally going on, till 7, 8, I have my regular calls. And then I start with the fun work. so it happens, I talked to some of my early, as VC Lab suggests, right? The initial connections, etc. And when I was talking to them, I was calling them at 9. They are obviously my close connections as well. So I was calling them 9:30 kind of, so or like 8 a.m. in the morning. So it's a bit crazy, I know, but it's all about passion. So if you decide that you have to do it, you have to do it. Means, and if you have passion, you get that extra energy and get that extra time. So
awesome.
That's what
I'm seeing people introducing themselves in the chat, and I just want to encourage you to continue doing that. I've been watching the messages fly. I haven't clicked LinkedIn links, but please introduce yourself. There is a fantastic community of people here, as you can see, both on screen and off. And questions are coming in. So what I'm going to do is I'll read a question. And again, you can virtually raise your hand or just physically raise your hand, and I'll call on you. And don't forget to add your questions in the Q&A. Okay, so for those of us with some capital but less accounting and MBA type skills, this is a question from Jim. How can we leverage your network to find business-minded candidates interested in partnering? So I guess he's looking, he's not an MBA, but looking for someone maybe to work with on a fund. By the way, that could be a venture partner role, Jim, depending on your skills. But if anyone wants to raise a hand and answer Jim's question. Okay, Biola, go.
I think the most important thing when you're building is really to find the right person to partner with. So you want to find the right person. You need to understand your skills and their skills and really bring those things together. You don't necessarily have to know everything there is to know. You learn so much by doing. So really just start doing things, being part of an angel network. I mean, that's where I really learned a lot and really just changed the way I thought about investing, because investing from a corporate level is very different from investing in innovative things and people that are starting off. So you can't really think about it from if you have corporate experience. You really have to work with founders and understand what they're building, understand the team, understand the people, and really, really dig in. So just get started, start working with people, volunteer, be part of your ecosystem. Everywhere almost has an angel ecosystem. And here in Lagos, across Africa, we have so many angel networks. I'm part of Lagos Angel Network, and that has been a huge part of really me getting into this space.
And you have a partner, correct?
I do have a partner.
So do you want to talk maybe quickly how you met, and then we'll do Silvia, Nicolas, and Paolo in order?
Sure. So my partner and I met over 6 years, almost 8 years ago, as part of the Young Global Leaders World Economic Forum. I was paired with her as her buddy. So it's like sort of like how you help people get into the organization and leverage the organization. We became friends. It's an organization where you travel, you go to Davos, you go to all these places. So we were spending a lot of time together, and we would always have these check-ins. I think as we would basically became each other's board of directors, and we would have these regular check-ins. And then we started talking about things we were doing. We were both angel investing. We had co-invested in certain things. And then we just started to share investments and things we were they're doing. She comes from an agricultural background. She comes from private equity. I come from building brands that matter. And so we just started to like cross-check, and that's how we then together just blurted it out one day that we should do this, and here we are. And then we found VC Lab, or VC Lab found us, we think, but we found each other. And it's been love since then. So we're very excited, but we really needed that foundation. So don't just meet someone overnight and partner with them. Really make sure it's someone you know that you guys can wear through arguments, because we do argue. We do sort of like go back and forth when we meet teams so that we really understand how these people work together. So build that relationship, start now.
Mike and I argue all the time. Silvia, Nicolas, and Paolo, one thing quickly, speaking of Mike, if you have the controls, the user's asking if they can copy the chat, right? I think you have to enable.
I'll take a look at that for you guys.
Okay. All right, Silvia.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I view it as two things. One is the 3 C's, right? It's not about just financial capital. It's about relational capital. And I always have to write it down. And what you can bring to the table, right? That kind of capital, the relational, network, and financial capital. And the relational, it can be like your strengths. Yeah, the 3 of them, right? The relational and like making sure that you can actually bring strengths to the table, your assets, all of that is super important. Even your asset of being a good listener. That doesn't mean you have any education, you have to have an MBA, you don't have to have capital. Being a good listener, having humanity, having empathy, that's also important. So bring that. Relational capital, network capital. That network capital is like building your LinkedIn, making sure that you are connected there, that you have everything there, that you're sharing your experiences. You're sharing your experiences with your innovation ecosystem. Show up at a pitch event and just be there and be a resource to people. And of course, if you do have capital, invest in somebody. But that investing in somebody and that company might be buying from a small business, right? The power of the purse is super important, right? So you don't have to invest as an investor at first, right? You can just invest in another company by buying from them. And I think the other thing is making sure that you have values alignment. Biola did that, right? She goes, look, I found this wonderful person that we are both our personal board of directors. We see eye to eye on things. Values alignment will sustain that relationship and sustain all of the like arguing and all of that over so many years. And that's how you can build a wonderful network and really great people that you can combine with. That's why we're really excited about VC Lab, values alignment for our team and joining VC Lab because of the values that VC Lab has. So that's all I have to say for that.
Well, and one thing I'll say, you can also just invest time, guys. Mm-hmm. You don't have to invest money if you don't. In fact, I would argue before you invest money, you should invest time, right? The first investment's always time, but okay, Paolo?
Yes, well, first I want to say that accounting skills are really not relevant at all in VC and early stage. And also, there's some funny jokes around MBA skills, although I have that. So I think you need to unlearn and then relearn when you talk to people and you talk to founders. So also the other piece of advice would be partner up with someone and even do passive investment if you want. So find those that have a good reputation for being good investors, good mentors, and with a history of supporting companies, and just do a kind of a mimicking or track or ask if you can co-invest with them. That's a way of learning and being involved. And then over time, if you become more comfortable, you can always scale up your operations.
And I would just compliment that it's not so much different than another company like AI company. In AI, you can't know all the frameworks of the world, so it's necessary that you rely on some technical people but you own the vision. When you launch the fund, you own the vision, you push the vision, you pitch the vision, and then when it comes to technicalities, you find the right people. They could be full-time in your team, or they could just on demand, depending on what you need. You probably don't need a legal guy full-time in your team, but if you have the right one on tap, that's the best solution. So most important is the vision and the energy for pushing your cause.
Okay, there's a lot of good questions. So this one's about fund size. What was the minimum fund size that you thought of to move forward? And maybe you don't need to tell exactly your fund size, but how you thought about it. And I know I push like crazy for everyone listening for people to think smaller, because you're not a fund, you're a firm. Okay, and a firm runs multiple funds. But if anyone wants, again, raise your hand on fund size if you want to talk about. Okay, I see Silvia.
I'll say it really quick. And again, I know that we're all like saying VC Lab is awesome, but VC Lab is awesome. We came in with like, well, what could be the fund size? And I'm not going to say the fund size, but the process of looking at our network and actually having a way to quantify that and say, oh, that makes sense or it doesn't make sense, was equally as important than just saying, this is our fund size. So I think the process of making sure that we know how big it could be and how big it could not be, and what is parallel to other VCs that are out there, that was instrumental by us getting involved with VC Lab.
Neeraj?
Yeah. So I think, again, VC Lab keep saying this, and I completely agree, even before joining VC Lab, that it's not necessary, even it's not necessary how much you can raise. You should not try to touch the limit in your first fund, right? First fund is a journey to learn for a VC or a GP as well, right? So just try to see what minimum you need and to deploy, let's say, for 1 year, and then you can raise your another fund in next year, right? Nobody stops you to not raise a fund for next 3 years. You can raise a fund in the next 12 months as well, right? So whatever you can do very quickly, what you need at the minimum, maybe to run for a journey for next 12 months is that's what you should raise. That's my view on that how you should approach the first fund. And then obviously based on a learning experience and then with your track record, you can easily raise a bigger sum at a second fund.
We just had a speaker on before this. We do private sessions and they reveal things that are confidential, but he tripled the fund size in his first firm, and he's launching a new firm now. And interestingly enough, his last fund at his last firm was $100 million, and his new fund at his new firm is $10 million. So Paolo?
I would just simply say that, if you are new to the business, you need to start somewhere. So start small and try to grow. And also fund size, yes, matters when it comes down to the size of the operation, the size of the team. You hope to be able to pay for your salary, other salaried people. Very likely you will not be able to make you rich out of that. But one thing you can do is you can shorten the investment horizon. So you can say, okay, I want to be funded or have enough capital to be deployed in first 12 months or 24 months. And then once you have proven yourself, you raise a larger fund. So I think, and also the secret sauce that VC Lab was suggesting, to look at how you can secure your first 10-15% of the fund size from people that already know you. I think that's really valuable.
So there's someone out, Ruben's asking a question also about fund size, but we answered it, I think, which is like, what point do you go full time? And, I don't, it's like, I always look at it like there's some, personally there's a trigger point where like, something happens that it's artificial that I make up, right? And that I use, okay, now I'm going to go full time. But I'd love to hear, like, how do you look at it? And maybe some of you'll never go full time because the fund will be part of another piece of strategy. Like Neeraj, you may never go full time. I don't know, but who wants to take the question? Okay, Biola, we'll go first, and anyone else can raise their hand on this.
Thank you so much. I think what we did is we had a couple of conversations about our commitment and our time, and then who will transition and how we will transition into full time. And so there's some triggers, there's some milestones. I think it's like everything, even companies you're going to be investing in. When you look at entrepreneurs, there are these trigger points and these milestones that we want to see, and that's the type of traction we're looking for. Once we hit some of our traction points and some of our milestones, then we we will go full-time. So we're almost full-time, and we're putting a lot of time into this because it's important to us and we believe in it. And just like Adeo said, you're building a firm, you're building a business that's going to outlast you. So once again, we're building something that we're going to do more funds down the line. This is not just the beginning or the end. This is the beginning, but this is not the end for us. And so those are the things we're looking at. Like, what are the things we need to put in place? What are the systems? What are the supports? What are the back office that we need to actually build something that's going to last? And so you don't want to just have this one day. Otherwise, you're never going to sort of get there. But just continue building every day, and you'll know when the time is right. And also,
Nicolas,
investing in people, you know, when you want to hear that they've gone full time. There's some businesses you're not going to write a check unless you know they've gone full time, and we're in that place as well. We know LPs are going to write checks once they know we're in a place, and so we're having those conversations.
Yeah, I wanted to joke a little bit on the full time. I mean, if you go through the VC lab, you will learn what is full time, because you start with 25 hours per week, and then quickly it's becoming 40. And I'm sure that we spend more than 40 hours on this. It's yes, the hard training of the full time for sure. Then the team is not working 40 hours. I mean, the rest of the team, but yeah, hopefully we onboarded them with the fact that we're building something for the next 10 years. So it is worth the investment. It will change their life. And yeah, there is a period before the T0, before closing the fund, and another period after. But it's worth the investment in the beginning, yeah, for sure.
Neeraj and then Paolo. One thing, just let me throw one little piece out, guys. So, you know, when you're going into venture capital, it's not like an hour-long journey and it's like, we're there. You're going on a 10-year plus journey. So, you know, it's an endurance race, not a sprint. But Neeraj?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Biola touched upon a very good point, that if you are not full-time, you know, your LPs will never trust you. If you are not full-time, then how can they trust with their money on you, right? So you might be doing 2 different things or 3 different things, but they should complement each other. And I give my example, right? So I run an accelerator, and then now you know, now this VC fund, right? Fundamentally, they are 100% complementary to each other. This fund, that accelerator, will feed companies to the VC fund. So we work with a lot of companies. Which of them are growing, performing well? We know, you know, which of them are cusp of growth. Now we can provide the growth capital through the fund. That provide the value add to the fund, that now we are picking up the companies that which we were working on. We are very, very confident. They are just not coming cold from the market. We exactly know everything about those companies, their business, their founders, their you know, where they will grow and whatnot, right? So now there's a high level of conviction when you invest through this fund that the chance of success are disproportionately high, if you ask me, right? So that's number one. And then even after, when you invest through fund, accelerator will continue to help these companies, because accelerator work on the GTM and designing the sales engine, right? We go in all the details, even hiring the sales team for our companies. We go in that kind of detail, setting up the demand generation and then deploying the sales tools, right? That's never, so ultimately there's a huge value add, right? For our VC companies as well, the fund companies as well, right? So they are 100% complementary, right? So you can't be doing 2 things which are completely different, that I am running a grocery shop and then I'm running a VC fund, right? They will not fly ever, right? So you might be doing 2 things, but there has to be, you know, they need to be complementary.
And the accelerator is your secret sauce, right, to the funds, because of all the things that you said. So one of the things that we ask everyone to think about at VC Lab is like, why are you uniquely qualified to run this fund? And, you know, having the accelerator is a secret sauce that makes you uniquely qualified to invest in the graduates because you know so much about them. Paolo?
Guys, I think not to joke, but I mean, it's either big or go home, right? I mean, you are an entrepreneur first. If you're launching this, you would be much better paid if you do something else at a corporate level. You are asking people, your founders, to basically be full-time and to be always in, always on 100% of the time, and you are not, cannot be. But I think also, if you want to do that at scale, you need to have capital to deploy and you need to grow. So the more you grow, the more impact you are able to have when it comes like to supporting more companies, more projects, and so on. So I think it's probably the best job or kind of one of the most passionate things I've done in my life. And so if I can do it even for free, you know, I would like to do it. And I think that's why you need to go all in and really be ambitious and start small, but then know that what is your target and try to achieve it as soon as possible.
This is a tricky question, so I'm gonna ask. So, you know, I don't, you know, I have thoughts on this, so I'm very interested in your thoughts about, and I'm gonna do a terrible job with your name, Bomborde. Do you consider ethics and human rights when selecting your LPs? And you know, I might, you know, I'm gonna assume that you're gonna do that with your companies on the whole. So the LPs is like the dark area of VC investing, just for everyone who doesn't know. Like, you don't often know who the LPs in the funds that you take money from as an entrepreneur are, right? You can ask and sometimes they'll say, but a lot of people don't talk about this. So I'm also interested in what you guys have to say. Now, Silvia, Paolo, you just spoke, so Silvia, you can go first, and if anyone else wants to take this, I'm very interested in your answer. So
yeah, I definitely I don't know what Bomborde means about human rights, right? So I just want to make sure that I'm just going to focus on the ethics piece of it, right? Values alignment is super important to myself.
I can let me take a clarification.
Wait, I just want to make sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so let's assume, like, you know, Saudi Arabia is a big issue in the VC community because the country has human rights abuses that are known, and women issues that are known, and they're a large LP, right? They have sovereign wealth funds that are investing in venture capital all around the world. Very large LP, actually. So that I think that's okay. What
perfect. That's what I kind of assumed, but I just wanted to make sure that I'm really focused, and I don't want to be speaking because I don't know anything. I want to speak from a place of knowledge and wisdom, right? And again, ethics as well, right? So when we built out our Next Wave Impact Fund, that was about 6 years ago, it was we, meaning an investment committee of women, so 12 investment committee members. We were really focused on activating capital from women. So our LPs were handpicked, that were all women-led LPs, and not women-led LPs, but women LPs or funds or whatever the institutional aspect of it would be, are either women-led or that they go after women investors. So that in essence is very important to us as a fund. I think for entrepreneurs out there is that you should actually ask, is that something that you look for, right? Because then you really have this like concrete values alignment between you and that entrepreneurial spirit that you have and the VC that is an investing in you. So I would say that just historically for me and for others in my ecosystem, it is important. Also, we talked about syndications a little bit around here, like angel syndicates. It's the same sort of thing. Angel syndicates, angel partnerships. We run Stella Angels as well. So it's an angel group for female angel investors. Ethics and values alignment is critical because trust is the most valuable currency in the VC and investment world. So that's why that is super important to us when we're looking at LPs and other investors and co-investors as well. We have conversations like that. We have the hard conversations. And sometimes we have to walk away. Sometimes we have to dive in even deeper, which is great. So that would be like my answer to that ethics question. Thank you for answering that. That's a fantastic, I can go on forever, but I want my other panelists to speak.
Who else wants to? You have your hand up for this one as well, Paolo, or was that for the last one? Yeah, so it's a toughie. Okay, I see two hands. Why don't we go Nicolas first? And
yeah, so we think that we are ethic by design, by helping the women to have a proper health. And of course, we can question the fact that if we have some LPs coming from the Swiss big pharma, do we deal with evil? I don't know. that's a quick question. We don't think so, because they bring solutions to problems. But behind what we're doing, we have also some kind of political approach. If we can help the ladies, the young girls in India or in Africa to manage their period and to go to university, to have a career, or in developing countries like Switzerland and the rest of Europe for ladies to manage their menopause, then we make an impact on the society. So that's what we have behind in terms of ethics. So the DLPs are hopefully following this vision of the world, we hope.
What I would say, guys, so upvote questions. We got now a lot of questions, not a lot of time. This always happens. It's not you. It's just like the nature of Zoom and Q&A sessions. So upvote first, don't ask first. Neeraj, quickly, and then I saw your hand up, Biola. So Neeraj and then Biola.
Yeah, so just very quickly to add to what Silvia and Nicolas said, right? So apart from, what they said is super important, and please also understand this is a long-term game, right? Getting a wrong LP on board for money's sake can be in short-term looks attractive, but you end up paying, a lot of price in the long term. Some good LPs will run away because of that. If there's a bad press because of that, your fund will get that bad press, right? That means the future funds get impacted. Even the big entrepreneurs, etc., who are raising a larger round, many of the other VC firms won't be partner with you or syndicate with you for those rounds. So there's a huge cost, So be very, very careful while choosing your LPs. It's just not the money part only.
Biola?
Sure. Just quickly and briefly, one of the big things for us is our values is around transparency and really democratizing capital, but also demystifying capital, because we know that's why people don't go after capital. And when we say transparency, it's not just a one-way street from our end, it's also from the places where the money comes from and the way we give the money out. And so I think it's really about aligning and making sure that your values make sense, and they will make sense to your LPs. Once you tell an LP that transparency is important to you, and your entrepreneurs know that as well. So for us, that's literally one of our guiding lights and really our North Stars. How do we stay transparent all the time? And so I think those are the kind of people you want to be looking for. Thank you.
There's lots of great questions coming in. Whoa, and getting upvoted and moving them down. So I like this question, and again, CVAN, I don't even know how to pronounce that. CVAN, maybe it's an acronym, but he's asking, or she's asking, about essentially evaluating deal flow and some of the things you do to evaluate deal flow. I'd love if anyone wants to take, like, how do you evaluate deal flow, or and everyone here has a pretty focused thesis. So again, raise your hand and I'll be happy to. Anyone on deal flow?
Sure. I mean, this is exactly what VC Lab does. It really keeps you honest and keeps you disciplined. We're currently going through that right now, which is basically, how are you actually going to allocate capital within your portfolio? So these are things that you start to really drill in. You start to look at things. For us, we're always looking at where the deals are coming from. We funnel them through the different levers that we've put in place, which is why it's important for you to really understand what you want, what you don't want, what's important to you, what's not important to you. So for example, if the environment is important to you, there are going to be certain companies that you can invest in. And so those are the filters, those are the funnels that you're always going to be looking at. I know we have very limited time, so I'll park it there, but you can catch up with me offline.
Yeah, and let me just say before we call on Silvia for this, guys, I encourage you, if you're open, the LinkedIn are all out there for the panelists. Friend them or follow them, contact them on LinkedIn, and we're going to send a follow-up email as well, so everyone here is accessible. But let's do Silvia and Paolo, and then we'll get through a few more questions.
I'll be really quick. So deal flow, that's why we run an accelerator called Stella Labs. But for the entrepreneurs out there, they're like, oh, how do we get in front of investors? Also, don't forget about your colleagues. your other entrepreneurs that are in different types of funds, ask them to recommend you for that deal flow for a particular VC, because that all values alignment happens, right? So don't forget about your colleagues. And for us, it's the people that trust. Again, Biola said that too, is the recommendation from another investor, either an angel investor or a VC, and other accelerators out there saying, you know, we have somebody who went through an accelerator and they're a fantastic founder, because we are people first. It's about the jockey and not the horse, right? So it depends on that VC and their thesis. So do your research on the thesis and go after those investors that are going after that.
Yeah, if I understand correctly the question, it was about asking about growth and cash flow, so balancing the two. I think by definition, I mean, we are seed or early stage investors, which basically means the companies will not be profitable and generating cash for a while. So I think it really comes down then to being disciplined in terms of knowing that you are only the beginning of the funding chain, and there will be others that will be bigger than you and coming later. So be sure that you, on one side, are disciplined in terms of allocating a given strategy and percentages and weights and tickets to the different horses that you're going to back, but also make sure that once you have made your choices, then you can help the founders go to the next level, because otherwise you end up in a very weird situation.
Yeah, and you know, to be fair for everyone who's listening, VC Lab and the new managers we work with and emerging managers tend to be Series A and below, so they're all kind of early stage. Ergo, the answer you just gave, Paolo, was excellent. This is awesome, guys. I'm like, where'd the time go? Like, we got like 2 minutes left. I feel like there are lots of questions. I just want to keep going. So like, all right, let's do this. And, you know, I just want to thank everyone here profusely, because this was amazing. And maybe if, you know, there were a lot of questions on VC Lab. So let's do this. We'll do an AMA with Mike and I about VC Lab stuff. So if you have a VC Lab question, Mike and I will do it. We might even do it next week this time. So we'll send an email about that. Meanwhile, for the panelists, maybe if you could close with some final inspirational thoughts to the various new managers out there and LPs out there, and you could pick which one you want to focus on about what the emergence of this really exciting period, this renaissance in venture capital. So final thoughts and the renaissance in venture capital for either a GP or LP. And we can just go one by one, but we'll start with you, Paolo, because you raised your hand. And then why don't we do Nicolas, Biola, Neeraj, and Silvia. With all your energy, we'll save you for last.
No, I would say just two things. One is, first, there is not enough venture capital in any part of the world. I mean, funding innovation is about funding the next generation of jobs, companies, and so on. So everywhere, more venture capital is welcome. That's the first point. The second point about choosing VC Lab, I would say, do your due diligence as for everything. So try to talk to as many people who have gone through the program, who have applied to the program, who have dropped from the program, and try to understand why of those decisions. I can only say that personally, I am very happy for the choice that we made, and we are learning a lot. And I think if we get on the other side, it's going to be also thanks to VC Lab.
Yeah, on my side, I never thought I would be a VC guy in my career, so I'm pretty surprised. I came from the engineering background and everything, and went into entrepreneurship, and then now I'm learning a new piece of my life. I mean, it's really a new page that I'm opening. It's super interesting. It's super interesting because if you really want to have an impact on the world, you can create a beautiful startup, yes. But if you are on top of that and you finance beautiful startups, your impact is even bigger. And it's a super strong. You can go higher, being a political guy, but I'm not sure you're so much effective at the end. It's just the right level for having an impact on the world.
Thank you, Nicolas. I'll take it from here. Once again, I just want to say thank you to everyone that tuned in. This is a really exciting time to be in Africa, to be invested in Africa. Venture capital last year was $4 billion, which is up 100%. But we still know one of the biggest things we have to do is invest in women. Of that 4 billion, less than 1% of that was invested in women-led teams. We need to invest more in women. We're very excited about some of the innovations that are coming out from African women. We want to fund African women. We want to fund people that are doing stuff that are enabling and making sure that people become economically empowered. Africa doesn't want aid. Africa wants investments. We want to grow. We want to innovate. And there's technology to help us and to actually propel that growth. So join us on this journey. Come be here, build, fund. Let's make sure that Africa escapes the poverty trap. Thank you.
Hey, so my quick advice is, please don't become a VC if you are doing it for money. Trust me, there are easier ways to make money than becoming a VC. To outside world, it looks like, this is the, like you're sitting on a gold mine or something, you're minting money, something like that. Guys, trust me, and AD and Mike are way more senior than me in the game. They can, testify this, that there are easier ways to make money rather than become VC, right? So find your why, means why you are actually want to become a VC. If you want to become so, and I'm not discouraging you from doing that, please do that, but please understand why you are doing it. There has to be a cause, there has to be a purpose that you must be serving through that. So that's my advice, and please consider VC Lab. This is an excellent platform for first-time managers. Absolutely, great platform. That's it.
So I'll close it out. Thank you, everybody, for being here. There's more than 100 people on this call, so very exciting. Thank you, Adeo and Mike. Honor and respect to both of you for accepting us. Two things is, one is, Biola said the same thing, 2%, less than 2% of VC funds go to women, and women of color and Latinas, it's like 0.0002%, right? So we have so much work to do, and there's so much money to deploy. So that's why we're here. And also for the women who are innovators, right, who are inventors, right? It's about like 9% of patents go out to women. So there is also a huge gap there, and that's what we're filling as our team and myself. And lastly, as my younger, I guess, self in August, not super young, but still in August, when I was deciding about VC Lab and our team was deciding, we applied first and then we had to apply again because I got COVID and my team members broke their arms. So we were half humans. So we had to get away and then had to reapply. In August, I think that if the LPs are out there and the GPs, just know you are enough. You are enough to launch a fund. You are enough because you have a network, because you have strengths that you don't even know that you have, right? I've built an accelerator. I didn't think I had enough, but VC Lab allowed me to say, yes, you are enough. Come on in. Let's have a great conversation. We're going to hold you accountable every single week. And we have a wonderful network of global people who also think, am I enough? But you are. So thanks for coming in today. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, guys. This was lovely. The chat's going off the hook. We'll do another one next week. Thank you so much, everybody. This was amazing.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Guys.